there something in your background that you've had sounds like a great family life with your father, your mother. You had one of the most famous coaches that you could have, and Bobby Bowden, and the stories there's a long list of stories on how personal Bobby Bowden was and about his faith. So you had some great role models through your life. Is there something that some event that occurred in your life or something in your background that said, this is how it's going to evolve, and I want to give back to the community and be a role model and provide a good setting for kids that need that help?
Well, there has been a lot of things that have happened in my life, but the most important thing, I love my parents to death. I love them to death.
That's awesome.
They've been married 34 years, I believe, and it hasn't been all peaches and cream. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And now that I've been married 7 years, I realize that marriage isn't. Marriage is tough. Right. It's a constant balance that has to take place on I applaud both of my parents, and I look up to them on many different levels, both athletically as individual people. I, as a little boy, people always ask me, did I have a role model? I really didn't have no particular linebacker that I watched or running back that I watched. I mean, I was a fan of, like Herschel Walker and Bo Jackson, but really, my parents were the ones who I really looked up to. My parents,
This won't be the first time they hear this either, will it?
No, they know that. Especially my mama. I love my mama now.
Yeah.
But I remember like it was yesterday when I was 13 years old. I remember the first time I ever beat my mama on the track. It was at FS. She used to always take me to Florida State University.
She probably remembers that too.
She remembers. You damn right she remembers. I remember it. She used to always take me to Florida State and train me and work on my start, work on my training and everything. And she used to always race me, and I could never beat her. I mean, I used to try. I could never beat her. And when I was about 13 years old, I ended up beating her. And it was just the highlight of my day, of my year, and my lifetime, to be honest with you.
That was one of your early victories.
Exactly. So my parents is really the genesis of this all, to be honest with you, because I have watched them countless over many times through their way ministries. We ran in a track club called Capital City Christian Cruisers, and through this organization, my parents there's been a ton of kids who have come through this program. Randy Arnold, a lot of people who went to Lincoln, Gavin Dickey, Pat Watkins, all the kids that I mentioned earlier, Antonio Camardi. All these people came through the Capital City Christian Cruisers, and I have seen them impact thousands and thousands of kids' lives. And as a kid, I grew up watching that. I grew up observing it. And at the time, I was like, my parents, they got this nonprofit organization, they got this track club, and we go around and compete in track meets, and it is what it is. But as I got older, they laid that. I realized that they was laying the foundation for me. They was laying the foundation for me. And as I got older, I realized that that's really what it's all about. That's really why I do what I do, because and then personally, my parents adopted both of my cousins, Mike Gibson and LaTanya Bennett. I was a little boy. I was probably about 3-4 years old, and they adopted both of my cousins. And my older brother, Mike Gibson, he was highly successful at North Florida Christian High School, and he ended up going to Florida State. And during the time, I believe it was 92, 93, around the time when Amp Lee was there, and very successful young man as well. But he got involved with the wrong people, doing the wrong things. And my parents, it really took a hard hit on my parents.
I can imagine it did.
It took a big hit on them, because not only were they doing mentoring programs with DJJ and in the juvenile detention center, mentoring and speaking to these kids in their personal lives, they were dealing with their own child who he got 3 life sentences in prison. So that was devastating, and that's really the reason why I do what I do, because I don't want to see no child get sentenced with 3 life sentences. Although my brother, he has turned his life all the way around. One decision changed his whole life. It impacted his whole life, and that's where I want to make it my passion. I want to make it my habit, that these kids realize that, you know, like I said, one decision can change your whole life.
Right.
I want to keep one kid from you know, being in trouble. So if I can, that's where all the genesis came from, is my parents, my brother, and then, you know, as with our foundation, everybody, my volunteers, our mentors, everybody, and my staff, we want to make sure that they see this mission, they understand the mission, and that's really what we're all about.